It may seem odd to you, but my favorite writer is Decade. Why is a long story, but I've been trying to collect the Figuarts of the four main writers for a while now. And as you may have already seen on this channel, I've already managed to get my hands on a Figuarts Decade, which is still the best of the first release of the Figuarts, the more stylized ones that I have seen. However, I am still hoping to get a renewal Decade and a renewal Kuga in the near future. One Figuart I thought I would never be able to get, though, was Kivala. That is until Gigabeetle over on the Twitters clued me into a sale on Kivalas for $20 before shipping. So, let's take a look and see how she fares up compared to not only Decade, but just as a Figuart in general. So, this is after the major resizing of the boxes for Kamen Rider Figuarts. So, I want to take a brief look at the packaging. It is a box. It's nice. It packages the figure well. However, there is one thing I want to talk about. The artwork on the front and the sides of the box is now the action figure itself, as opposed to the actual suit used in the show. I don't know who at Bandai Tamashii decided that this was the way to go, but I really want to have words with them. Other than that, the box is fine, it looks good, etc., etc. I've already covered all this. So let's move on and take a look at the figure herself. Oh my gosh, Kivala looks awesome! She hits all the right notes in sculpt, presentation, paint, work. Everything is just fantastic. I do want to point out the belt, as it's probably the least good part of her. I mean, Kivala is probably the softest of the details, but they even took the time to try and sculpt in the little links in the chains. So, I love the belt for that, even if it is probably the weakest part of the figure. Other than that, she's great. I really want to call out the head. It's a triumph, okay, with gloriously compound red eyes. And if you look right here, this purple is just fantastic. I can't tell if it's plastic or painted on, but what I really want to point out, and I don't quite know if you can see it, but the gold that is intricately painted around these purple mold lines in here, it's just pretty to look at, and it really pops. The white, is also a nice pearly white, which really helps her stand out compared to the more, I want to say, like, pure white of Decade. This is much more of a bone white. So, let's talk about articulation next, because that is a thing people want to know about with Figuarts for some reason. It's a Figuart, so excellent articulation is pretty much to be expected. The head is well articulated, shoulders on a good solid universal joint with a ball joint in the torso, double ball jointed torso and waist, ball jointed hips with a pull out extension on them so you can get those good high kicks, and, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, a decent range on the foot. Even if mine's a little stiff, it's still got good range. However, there are a couple of things I'm going to talk about that are quirks of Kivala specifically. First is all of this ornamentation. It can sometimes get in the way. I'm not going to lie. But they do try their best. These ones right here are on ball joints connected to the shoulder armor, and these things back here are on hinges, so they try their best to get out of the way. And most of the time, they succeed. As you can see right here, you can get her arm out as far as it can go in terms of the shoulder joint. It's not restricted by the armor. The other major thing I want to talk about are these things right here on her hips. First off, they are sharp, but you really won't notice that much, I think. This thing has, however, it's a ball joint back here, and these parts here are also hinged. So these actually feel like they don't get in the way nearly as much as this does. And considering, like I said, the top portion here only feels like it. It's hard to describe, but it only feels like it. Like you're telling it to yourself, like, oh, that's just getting in the way, but it really isn't. So articulation is good, and the things in her design that you think would get in the way just don't. So how does she fare in accessories? So accessories, you get everything you need and nothing more. You get 2 fists, one of which is on her right now, but they look nice, they do the job, they look like fists. You get 2 different kinds of open hands, one calm, one more splayed out, and you get 2 grippy hands to hold her one weapon, her sword. I think that's called the Sonic Saber. I don't completely recall off the top of my head. But it looks good, and it's a sword. So, you know, it's going to be all sword-like, with a decent little bat motif. So, yeah, you get what you need. I would have maybe liked a small figurine of the bat Kivala herself. But that's getting into, like, tiny things like Gaia memories that come with Figuarts or stuff like that. So, you know what? I'm okay with not having her included with the set. So, how is Kivala as an overall pack? SH Figuarts Kivala is a great figure. She looks fantastic. And outside of some minor problems with the heels, she poses just as well. And she comes with every major accessory you need for her. I, of course, got her on an Omega Mega Sale, so she was an easy buy. However, at the roughly $40 MSRP, I'd say she just about justifies her price on the strength of her sculpt and paint job alone. If you can get her on sale, I'd say get her with all due haste. Well, that's all for me. Catch you on the flip side.